Santa Pod's fast show for the first round of the 2015 Miller's Oils Jap Drag Series. And to start things off, we're looking back at 2014 action as we introduce a few of our drivers.
Never really been a circuit racer. Tried it. I don't do bends very well, so I stick with the straight line racing. I've owned Japanese cars probably for 10 years, something like that. Started off with a Mitsubishi GTO. Had that only for about a year. Bought my first Skyline, and I suppose financially I've gone downhill from there. Got into drag racing probably 8 years ago, something like that, just for fun, like the guys do here, run what you brung days, that's where it all starts. And if you get hooked on it, you just want more power and more power. And that's the trip I've been on for 8 years, I guess. Abbey have taken that car from what it was. I bought the car with an engine that had a cracked block. That's where we started. We started nowhere. So the engine and the gearbox went in the skip. So everything about it, except for the actual look at the car itself, is totally Abbey Motorsport. And, you know, those boys know what they're doing, obviously. It is legal except for the noise, let's say. It would pass an MOT except for the exhaust. So everything about it is perfectly street legal. Yeah, I won't be taking it on the road, let's be honest.
And series winner from 2014, David Greenosh in the Rips 3.2 litre GTR 34 Skyline.
We've done a lot of work on the car, taking weight out of it, improving the aerodynamics to ease it up at the top end, because obviously we're getting up to 165 plus. So how the car's behaving aerodynamic wise is almost as important as how much power it's making. We're getting a little bit more power out of the engine, but we're still some to spare. But the big plan, of course, is having retained the championship last year. There's a few new guys coming to the competition, all running very good, powerful cars. So the focus is on get the championship again this year, 3 times on the trot. When everything goes right and it goes straight, it's what we call a supermarket run, because there's not a lot to do other than steer and keep your foot down. It's when it goes wrong, that's when everything gets exciting, and you can end up almost going lock to lock on the steering, just trying to keep it straight and in your lane, as opposed to meeting the concrete wall or joining your competitor in the other lane.
Time for qualifying, and we're taking a look at a few runs from the morning's 3 scheduled sessions, which will determine who pairs up against who in the first round eliminations after lunch. Reaction times don't matter in qualifying, and neither does the terminal speed. It's all down to the all-important elapsed time. First pair out will be Mark Molesley in the blue GTR 32 Skyline and Jeff Ludgate in the yellow GTR 33. So with the burnouts completed, the cars edge into stage. And don't forget, the timers will start when the cars move and break the light beams, not when the green light shows. And it can be quite a tricky job to get into stage, get the turbos boosted and launch in a very short time. Well, Jeff is off like a scalded cat, and he's flying down the line there, already getting up to the terminal, puts down a great opening of a 9.01, but that low terminal speed suggests he was off the power before the end. Yeah, and the replay shows just how much the tyres struggle for grip, with way in excess of 1,000 horsepower. Next out will be the reigning champion David Greenosh in his Skyline. So where does he see the main competition coming from this year?
The main threat will of course be Jeff Ludgate again, because Jeff has a good car prepared by Abbey. Max has joined us this year, and with a car he builds himself. He's run high 8s before. He's built a new engine for this year. I'm sure he's hoping to get down near 8.5. I mean, the reality is, you know, we're all very quick, and it ultimately will get down to how quick our reactions are to the lights, because in many of these things the race is won and lost in the first 60 feet.
And in the right lane is Andre Geisler in his backup car, the white Mitsubishi GTO. He's basically staging for points, but should have his full car ready for the next round. And a great 8.50, 165 miles an hour there for David.
It's still a traditional Skyline engine. I know it has a stroker kit. I'm not terribly technical, so instead of it being 2.6, it's 2.8, but it's an original block. Everything about it is Skyline. And the power it turns out, when you think it comes off the production line at what they say 280 horsepower, add 1,000 to it now. It's unbelievable.
No, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. It all depends how much work the car done at the last meeting, whether it's gearbox out, check the clutch, or hopefully not engine out to inspect the engine. But it's a lot. It's very time consuming. But we've got a set plan. We know what we need to do. Coming from running a bigger car with John Bradshaw a few years ago, so we keep an eye on anything, keep an eye on the clutch. It's a relatively easy car to run.
We get about 1,600 horsepower out of the engine. It's obviously the original OEM-based engine, but heavily modified. It runs sweet enough normal, but in truth, you probably wouldn't want to drive around on the road with 1,600 horsepower on tap.
Back with qualifying then, and it's Mark Mosley in the left lane, Andre Geisler in the right lane. And a nice straight launch from Mark in the Skyline. And into number 2 position with an 8.76. But it looks like problems for David in the Blue Street car as he's pushed away.
Yeah, I just love the Jap scene, that's it. I will be driving in the Jap Drag Series. End of July I'll be doing 10 of the best. That's my regular numbers, and that's what I'll stick to. Well, last season we've actually got to the 8.7s. This car, safety equipment, is only good for 8.5. So we're not really going to try and push the car any further. This season it's almost a copy of last year. We're just going to rely on getting off the line and being reliable this year. Millers have been very kind. They sponsor the car, now they're sponsoring the series, which is excellent for everybody. There are also 4 sub-sponsors at the moment: Track Stuff Racing Fuel and Tyres, PW Pro, who do wrapping and detailing. We've got Clear's Car Care Products, and East Kent Models, who do specialist models of cars like this, for example.
So, what happened to David on that last run?
Second run we ran into a problem in that because the weather's been so cold, it keeps switching on the nitrous oxide warmer blanket, and that pulls a lot of amps, and it's been flattening the battery. So we found when we got to the bottom of the fire-up lane, we went to start it, there wasn't enough in the battery, and we put the jumper pack on, and we flattened the jumper pack as well, so we can't actually start the car.
Final qualifying session, and Jeff will be wanting to at least get into the 8s today. And in the left lane, it's David again, this time with a fully charged battery. Well, Jeff's away first and flying off down the line, but David's hauling him in, and as they head up to the line, it's neck and neck, and they cross the finish line dead even, and no 8-second run for Jeff this time out. So, as Andre takes to the track again, his backup car is David Greenosh in number 1 position with an 8.50, and Mark Mosley in second with an 8.76.
It's going quite well. This is the first time out, and you always expect a few gremlins, and to be honest, we haven't had too many. So put in a 9.0, which isn't too bad for the first day out, and hopefully might even improve that as the day goes on.
Yeah, very pleased so far, because it's a bit of a change for me going back to street class, running street tyres instead of running slicks as in factory modified. So we didn't know where we were going to be with the street tyres, but it's hooking up, and yeah, PB so far. We've still got more to come in the engine. We've made some good power. We've upped the compression a bit, but it's basically the same setup. Built the engine myself. It's 2.8. Still same head I've always used, same cams, that kind of thing. But we can push a little bit harder with power. We made 1,000 odd, just over horsepower on the dyno last week, and that was at wastegate boost, so we know there's more to come.
So into the all-important eliminations, and we're into the semi-finals. First pair out is David Greenhalgh in the right lane and Andre Geisler in the left. Now on paper this should be a foregone conclusion, but these cars are always right on the edge, so it's never over until it's over. Pull forward into stage until both lights are lit on the Christmas tree and wait for the lights. Off they go. Andre's just in front, but the power of the skyline reels him in within the first 30 feet, and with 4 seconds in hand, this should be pretty much decided. And it's it, 8.43 at 166 miles an hour, the quickest run of the day. Next pair then, Jeff Ludgate in the right lane and Mark Mosley in the left. Just 0.2 seconds between these two, and that could easily be lost on the line. Oh no, Mark's rolled through the staging beams. For some reason he couldn't hold it on the line, and that red light gives Jeff the automatic win, which is unbelievably unlucky there for Mark. So that sets up the final where Jeff will meet David, and he gets his 8 and 8.80, 165 miles an hour. That's more like it.
We're going good. We're finding the grip, and the car's running good. Obviously the conditions are nice today. It's cold but sunny, so the track surface is at least getting some heat into it, and that's making all the difference for the car coming up the quarter.
The car's been good, very good. The weather's been great. I'm up against Dave, as you know, which is a very good final. I drive pretty well the same way every time. I race. Doesn't matter who's there, I race. So I won't really change anything.
So it's final time. David in the right lane, Jeff in the left. And based on time so far, David still has a cushion of around 0.3 seconds. But as we've seen with Mark in the last race, nothing's guaranteed in drag racing. Lights go green, and they're both away at exactly the same time, so it's all going to be down to who can get the most power to the track now. Side by side all the way. This is too close to call, and over the line it's David by a whisker, a 9.11 against a losing 9.15. Wow. So in the replay you can see how the different suspensions handle the first gear shift, but so close right up to the stripe there. Amazing. So as the trophies are presented, with David Greenhalgh taking the early season points lead, make sure you join us at Big Bang for round 2 of the Miller's Oils Jap Drag Series here at Santa Pod.
Very happy, although it was very tight in the final with Jeff, as always, because Jeff's a good racer, but we made it in the end. Car ran good.
Yeah, it was a super close final. Neither of you really running the numbers that you've been running in qualifying. Both of you very low 9-second runs, and that was close at the finishing line.
It won't, well, 0.02 is pretty close as you want to be. I think whether it's just a cooler in the day, just push the numbers down a little bit. It's racing.
Well, the points lead, congratulations. Going forward for the rest of the season, it's setting out a pretty good benchmark.
Oh yes, it's, as the saying goes, start as you mean to go on.